Hello and welcome to the Voice of Todd. I'm Tom, and in this one we're going to take a look at the update on the Xbox Business Podcast, which just dropped at time of recording about 2 hours ago. I've been very relaxed on this, to be fair. It's basically an update on what Xbox is doing for the future. Loads of rumours. I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to flash up news articles or anything like that, because honestly I can't be bothered. It's not that it wouldn't add anything, but there's been so much crap, so much rubbish, so much rumour, so much conjecture, so just people blindly guessing, throwing stuff at a wall. Apparently everything was going to go non-exclusive, and then they weren't going to make consoles, and the internet started to burn down apparently. It got a bit stupid. My stance on it before watching this, because I haven't seen anything out of this at all, there's still going to be core elements of the Xbox platform and their portfolio that I personally believe will stay exclusive / timed exclusive. I don't think Halo is actually going to go anywhere. I don't think Gears of War is going to go anywhere. I don't think Fable is going to go anywhere. That's one I might be wrong on, because it has been so long since we've had a Fable game. I can't see Forza, Horizon, or Motorsport going anywhere. Like, these tentpole, absolute 9 times out of 10, except Halo, which you know how I feel about modern Halo. These tentpole, excellent releases that probably don't get the praise they deserve. Alright, maybe Fable as well is rightly canned and kicked. 3 was bad. But I don't think like their big mainstays of each specific genre are going anywhere. But what I do think, and this is all just me conjecturing, I think there is a strong argument for Starfield to go multi-platform. Starfield hasn't delivered, to be honest. It might have done in monetary and in numbers terms early on, but it wasn't that good. I hope they fix it, touch wood, but it didn't immerse me in a way that I wanted it to immerse me. The Activision Blizzard stuff, most of the Bethesda stuff actually. Indiana Jones is a big one that was touted around as well. Indiana Jones in the Ancient Circle. There's a strong case that that will go third party at some point, after, I'm assuming, a timed exclusivity. But these are studios, publishers, developers that Microsoft have spent big money to bring in, and they now need to start making a return on that investment with the future projects that are coming. Look at what some of the Bethesda studios are working on. Arcane are doing a Blade game. Blade has a massive pull outside of the Xbox ecosystem, so I can see Blade going third party at some point. I can see Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6. Elder Scrolls has a massive community, not just on Xbox, not just on PC, but across all of gaming. You would be leaving money on the table to not release that on the PS5, or PlayStation, whatever we're on, or Nintendo, whatever, if it can handle the graphics. So, I don't think it's doom and gloom. I don't think this is going to be a major shake-up going into it. But I am interested to know what their plan is. Last thing I will say before we do get into this, they have been saying for at least the last 5 years, they want Xbox to be everywhere, they want Game Pass to be everywhere, and they want to turn the deals that they've been making, EE here in the UK, to push their gaming services and the cloud gaming. Samsung have a massive deal with them about putting the Xbox Cloud, whatever it's called now, the xCloud app, onto their TV, so you don't need a console. You can just Game Pass, Cloud, straight on the TV with a controller. They're really pushing the Xbox, or the meaning of Xbox gaming beyond consoles and PCs. That's their business plan. They want Game Pass as wide as possible, because that's their business model right now. So if this is more than just Game Pass is expanding, and, oh, some of the games that we've already made, that we've released as Xbox exclusive, yeah, they were only a 1-year exclusive. Or a 6-month exclusive. Personally, I hate exclusivity. I understand why it's there. They need to sell consoles, they need to sell units, and Microsoft are not stopping making Xboxes. Their gaming side is the third highest earning revenue of the entire Microsoft portfolio, despite expenditures over the last 5 years, which have been hefty. They're not going to turn it down. What they want to do is push into more platforms, push into mobile in a big way, hopefully try and capture the Eastern market. And that's really all I think this is going to be. I don't think this is going to be, yeah, your entire Xbox platform you can now play on your PlayStation. We'll see. I might be wrong. Like, I've not seen anything that says I'm going to be wrong, but who knows? This is a 23-minute, actually quite a bit here. We've got an introduction. We've got a couple of minutes on exclusivity, something about future titles, first party in Game Pass, ActiBliz coming to Game Pass, what's the change in Xbox strategy. It's nice that they've actually put chapters in. How is multi-platform availability good for business? Oh god, they're really going into that in a 1-minute segment. How does Xbox want to keep up with the industry? This is going to be interesting. Gaming communities, Xbox hardware. I'm glad they address Xbox hardware. They needed to. Game libraries and preservation. And what does Xbox stand for today? Right, okay, this could actually be really interesting. How am I going to do this? I'm probably going to just ramble. We'll watch it. I might pause it and talk about what they're saying and give you my instant reaction thoughts. Because I can't help myself. I can't be quiet for 22 minutes. So let's just jump in. Eventually.
Hello and welcome to the official Xbox podcast. I'm your host, Tina Amini, and we have a very special episode today. As you can probably tell by the fact that I'm joined by Phil, Sarah, and Matt. Welcome.
Phil, Sarah, and Matt Booty, the three heads of Xbox gaming.
We want to talk about game exclusivity. We want to talk about Activision Blizzard now that they're part of our portfolio, how that might be an impact on Game Pass. And we want to talk about hardware too and how all of this fits into the strategy at Xbox. So where should we start, Phil?
Well, when we originally had planned for the show, starting back in December, I think we probably would have started with Activision Blizzard.
That's when the rumors broke, wasn't it?
Maybe talked a little bit about the exclusivity with some of the news coming up, and then hardware. But we've had some unforeseen news that has come out. So let's just go and tackle the exclusivity question, because I know it's on the minds of a lot of people. We hear from the community, and that's an important input for us.
Okay, first thing. I like how Phil presents himself. I like what he says. I like how he interacts with the wider community, and I like how he's in these press conferences. That doesn't mean I'm his friend. He's running a business. I don't know the man. I don't owe him anything, and he owes me even less, right? But I like how this is all PR stuff, and Phil's good at PR, right? You can tell when he's having a bad day, because he's honest about it. He is honest, but he knows the PR message. He can toe the line when he needs to. I like that he's using the word community and we're listening to the community. I like that because I do think that Xbox has actually done quite a lot to promote the Xbox brand within their communities and engage with their communities with FanFest, things like that. So that's good. I'm glad they're addressing this. It's interesting that they started doing this in December, which is when the leaks first started coming out. That I think was it Hi-Fi Rush? Was it Redfall? Hi-Fi Rush and something else were being teased as being third party or going third party at some point, which would have been around the 1 year point for Hi-Fi Rush. So that, yeah, okay, this has obviously been something that they've been working on for a little while in the background, which is interesting.
So we made the decision that we're going to take 4 games to the other consoles.
4 games.
Just 4 games. Not a change to our kind of fundamental exclusive strategy. We're making these decisions for some specific reasons. We make every decision really with the long-term health of Xbox in mind. And long-term health of Xbox means a growing platform, our games performing, building the best platform for creators, reaching as many players as we can. We're always looking to learn as a...
Reaching as many players as you can is the same as an Xbox on every screen. Right, it's a different way of phrasing it, but it's the same message.
Leadership team and to grow, and we think this is an interesting point in time for us to use what some of the other platforms have right now to help grow our franchises. So we're going to do that.
Makes sense.
So these 4 titles, what are they? Can you say?
I'm not going to name those games. The teams that are building those games have announced plans that are not too far away.
The teams that are building, so this isn't necessarily stuff that's already out. The teams that are building those games, this could be things coming in the future. Elder Scrolls 6, potentially. Indiana Jones.
As we know, game teams put a lot of energy into their announcements with the partners. So I don't.
Indiana Jones also at the January reveal they didn't give it a date, and they didn't confirm platforms.
I don't want to take anything away from those teams. So I won't be talking about the titles specifically, but I think when they come out, it'll make sense.
Can we say if either of those titles are Starfield or Indiana Jones?
They are not Starfield or Indiana Jones.
Well,
oh! Starfield could go either way. I would have put money. I'm glad I didn't. I would have put money on Indiana Jones being third party. I even said that in the January thing, I think. Certainly such a big deal with people like Lucasfilm and an IP like Indiana Jones. Why would you not put that on third party? Interesting.
Well, what was the criteria in how
Big grin
the
from
team
Phil
was
as he
thinking
said
about
that.
selecting those 4 titles?
Let me start a little bit outside of that, and then I'll get to the 4 specific games that we're talking about right now. Because the fundamental decision driver for
another PR thing that I noticed straight away, but I may as well bring it up now. Look at the mugs. They're all Xbox 20. The 20th anniversary was a couple of years ago. Again, the longevity of the Xbox brand. They're showing you that Xbox isn't going anywhere.
For any decision that we make,
or they're trying to
make, anything we're going to talk about today is the long-term health of Xbox. That we're running a growing platform that is reaching more players.
Another rumor that I'd heard, Xbox was being rebranded as Microsoft Gaming. They keep using the word Xbox, growing the brand of Xbox. I don't think Xbox is going anywhere. I never did. I guess this just further confirms it at this point.
Players that our games are having as much success as possible. And I do have a fundamental belief that over the next 5 or 10 years, exclusive games that are exclusive to one piece of hardware are going to be a smaller and smaller part of the game industry. And that's not some great insight, because if you look at the last 10 years,
and I think that's how it should be.
Are today, it's a natural place, whether it's one console and PC, multiple consoles, mobile console and PC.
Sony are putting a lot of their stuff, maybe not day one, but a lot of their stuff on PC now.
And we want to be a great platform for creators that are trying to realize that potential. But now back to the specifics of the question on these 4 specific titles. We looked at games that are over a year old, so they've been on Xbox and PC for a while.
Over a year old. That year exclusivity clause is coming in, okay? So when Starfield is a year old, maybe that will go. Maybe. They just haven't talked about it yet. We don't know. But games over a year old.
A couple of the games are community-driven games, new games that kind of first iterations of a franchise
as an
that
example,
have reached their full potential,
but that
let's say,
is
on Xbox and PC. There's always growth. Franchises that we obviously want to continue to invest in. Part of having the ability to continue to invest is that the businesses behind those franchises continue. We think it's important that these service-based games that have communities behind them, that they can have confidence that they're going to exist in the future. So 2 of them, kind of community-driven games that will end up on other platforms and give us the ability to continue to invest in them. We think that's great for the business and great for the communities, more players to play with. I'd say 2 of the other games are smaller.
I've just had a thought. Community-driven games over a year old. Does Halo fall into that? Not the campaigns, but the multiplayer. Because the multiplayer is now in Infinite. Last year they did a massive change to how it was delivered, so the campaign is completely separate and standalone to the multiplayer, and the multiplayer is free to play. Massive resurgence with Firefight in December, which I've been playing a lot of. I love it. Could Halo multiplayer, specifically the multiplayer, nothing else but the multiplayer, could that go third party? It's over a year old. It's got a community behind it. The studio themselves are winding down on delivering content for that game, but there's things like Forge where content still come. The only reason I'm on Xbox is because of Halo. My many years, my old timer, speak with Xbox and Halo going back to 2001. I love Halo. I'm not going to deny it. If I had the ability to just do a Halo channel, I'd do a Halo channel. I ain't that smart, and I get bored. But I love Halo. But where they've positioned the infinite multiplayer, they're teasing future projects. Obviously, the campaigns aren't going to go anywhere because Chief can't go anywhere, and Chief would always be an exclusive skin, character model, whatever, for the Xbox. But could that be their Fortnite-style multiplayer game that goes third-party?
Smaller games that were never really meant to be built as kind of platform exclusives and all the fanfare that goes around that, but games that our teams really wanted to go build, that we love supporting creative endeavors across our studios, regardless of size. And as they've realized their full potential on Xbox and PC, we see an opportunity to utilize the other platforms as a place to just drive more business value out of those games, allowing us to invest in maybe future iterations of those, so sequels to those, or just other games like that.
Trying to think what other smaller stuff. Pentiment, maybe?
And when we don't
Pentiment was amazing.
Xbox and we can grow our business using what other platforms have and to help us with that, we're going to do that. And that's really the story behind these 4 games. And last thing I'll say, looking forward,
I want to know what they are.
I think there is an interesting story for us of introducing Xbox franchises to players on other platforms to get them more interested in Xbox. We think there's a good brand value for Xbox there. So 4 games, no promise beyond that. So if you're on those other platforms and you see these 4 games coming, please don't take it as some signal that everything's coming. It's not.
Maybe do.
And we're going to learn.
So when you are thinking about the future and this concept of live service games, games that can benefit from bigger audiences, new audiences, how does that apply to future titles and how you're applying that criteria there?
Yeah, there's really no fundamental change to how we think about exclusivity. We just came out of Developer Direct, which was an awesome show.
Where we
showed great games that are coming to Xbox and PC and cloud, which really makes them accessible to hundreds of millions of people. So it's this kind of, we're really focused on a couple platforms and what's going to show up there. But our key of play the games
like
you want,
Developer Directs.
you want, anywhere you want, when everybody plays, we all win. These have been part of our strategy for years and will continue to be. Our focus is on how do we continue to grow the games industry by reaching more players in more places, and how do we grow Xbox as part of that. Xbox is a hardware platform, Xbox is a publisher of great games, and Xbox as a platform for the world's best
Then
creators.
please publish some great games.
And then knowing that, how do we think about our first-party games and Game Pass?
Yeah, well, to build on what Phil just said, one thing I would add, as you were talking about growth, is just that we've sort of seen this inversion over the last 5 years where it used to be that the platform was the biggest thing.
That's right.
And the games would sort of tuck in within the platform. Today, big games like a Roblox or a Fortnite could actually be bigger than any one platform.
Yeah,
and that really has changed the way that we think about things. So in the midst of all that, I think we at First Party can come back to sort of some core principles. First, that all of our games will be on the Xbox platform. Second, all of our games will go into Game Pass on day one. And third, we know that Game Pass will only be available on Xbox. So there's sort of starting.
Let's pause that. The first 2 we knew, day one Game Pass, doubling down on that. They've been doing that for years, and I think that works for the health of Game Pass.
Principles. First, that all of our games will be on the Xbox platform. Second,
Xbox is producing them. You'd hope they'd be on whatever platform Xbox exists on, yep.
All of our games will go into Game Pass on day one.
Obviously.
And third, we know that Game Pass will only be available on Xbox.
That's huge. Also, that's not true. Because it's on PC. I suppose... I mean, that's great. As someone who loves Game Pass, knowing that Game Pass... That's the selling stick for Xbox, though, isn't it? Buy an Xbox, get Game Pass. You've got however many games, they rotate in, and you get all of their exclusives. I guess we use it now. We get all of their produced and published games day one. So it's not going to Switch. It's not going to PlayStation, I think is what they're saying. It's not going to third-party consoles. It's already on PC, but maybe it isn't going to Steam. There's not going to be like a Steam... But then you can get it on your Steam Deck, I'm sure. Or you can... I don't know. The PC thing is a grey area for me. But I think what it means is it's not going to Nintendo. It's not going to PlayStation.
So there's sort of starting
that
points
surprises me.
As Phil mentioned, there are games today that you can play that only can be found on Xbox. And at the same time, we want to bring more of our games to more players. So we're going to continue to look at that. Kind of moving aside, though, from some of those and thinking more about what does it really mean for the player, to me, the two key things are cross-play and cross-save. Those things allow us to deliver on the promise of Xbox, which is play with your friends where they are, play on the devices you want, play the games you want. So that is really only possible at a practical level when you know that your saves and your player are going to be able to move across all those parts.
100%.
So not all of our games
and that's
today
something that more
are necessarily
games are
built to
embracing.
take advantage of that. There still will be some games that don't. As we bring more teams into the Xbox family, there's some catch up to do as we get there. But that,
as we bring more teams into the Xbox family, hinting at future acquisitions.
Cross-play, cross-save is like so fundamental to what we're doing, and I think is something that we as first party get such a good benefit from being so close to the platform.
It's not actually, it's the current. But
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things, like you said, all of our games are always in Game Pass. And so I'm excited to announce, you know, with the coming together that we had with Activision Blizzard King, that Activision Blizzard games are coming to Game Pass.
I'm not
starting
against
with
it.
Diablo 4 on March 28th, which I'm super, super excited to share.
That's cool. I've been waiting for this one personally. So March 28th, Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass. There's a reason I didn't buy Diablo when it came out. Because I was waiting for the acquisition to either go through or not. I'm kind of glad I didn't now. Having never played much of Diablo, I think I played Diablo 3 for a little bit. 4 looked really good, and I'm very interested in it, and I'll definitely play it on Game Pass. So that's cool, and it's coming soon. About 6 weeks' time.
And it's all part of our commitment to make
When's the new Call of Duty's coming?
The Xbox
I've not played one of them for 8 years.
And the games that we build as widely available as possible. So now the 34 million Game Pass members can all enjoy the fantastic experience of Diablo 4.
34 million Game Pass members. Wow.
Amazing. Can we come back to the point, Phil, you mentioned at the top, this isn't really a change.
Just before we get into that question, I think they're open about these numbers, but they are hitting all those industry buzzes, like how many subscribers we've got, how many, you know, what we're focusing on, the terms, what the Xbox brand is. They're really hitting these buzzwords. It just feel very rehearsed.
And strategy for us. Can you recap for me how it isn't?
Yeah, and I thought both Matt and Sarah did a really nice job of talking about what we're doing on Xbox, where we're going. You know, if you take a platform feature like Xbox Play Anywhere, which has been a promise that we've made on our first-party games, that you can buy our game once, you're going to get to play across Xbox and Windows. I think we're the only platform that does this. That makes it possible for you not only to play with your friends wherever they are, but to know that you actually have multiple entitlements to the games. I think that's a technology I would love to see applied to more platforms. But it is this
They're so integrated with PC on
that
Xbox.
People are going to play Xbox in multiple places. Whether it's play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, whether it's content community and cloud, whether it's when everybody plays, we all win. Like we've had different taglines.
It's a
different
cool
strategy,
idea. It really is.
kind of
It's just not there
words that we've used, but always with this view that
the cloud stuff
Xbox is a platform for creators who want to reach the most players. Our investments in xCloud, our investments in franchises like Minecraft and now Call of Duty and other large franchises so that we learn how to build those. This has been a strategy that we've been on for, I'd say, a decade. It's not about one device. It's not about games in service of a device, but rather the devices that people want to play on should be in service of making the games as big and popular as they possibly could be. Because really a healthy creator community on Xbox, a healthy creator community in gaming all up is the thing that all of us as game players should be voting for, because that's the thing that will lead to the best long-term success and growth in this industry.
And my understanding, just from listening and learning from you three over the past few weeks, just understanding what's happening with Xbox, is that we see trends with player behavior where people are playing on multiple devices. That is the reality. And we have put some games out on multiple platforms before. So my understanding is that that's been good for players. How does that come back to the business with all of that in mind?
Yeah, as you said, we have shipped games on other platforms. In fact, realistically, if you look with the addition of Activision and Blizzard and ZeniMax, we're one of the largest game publishers on PlayStation.
I would
we're one
bet
of the largest publishers
all of that
on
stuff
the
is
Nintendo
third-party.
Switch,
Not the
especially when you
Bethesda.
put Minecraft into the equation as well. And now we're one of the largest publishers on mobile platforms as well. And that's not something that we want to back away from. We want to continue to be building great games that millions and millions of people can love, and that they can play those games where they want to go play. But we do understand the business success that Xbox has to have. Us as leaders in this business, the system today, the system that all companies that we play video games from, is a world of you got to be growing your business. Growth in our Xbox business is critical to the long-term health of Xbox. Many people know I've been on Xbox for over 20 years. And I want to make sure Xbox is in the best position for the next 20
And I don't think anyone who understands business argues with that point.
And healthy business. So when we look at opportunities to allow more people to play, more people engage, more people to buy, more people to subscribe, it's all about putting Xbox in the best position. And our hardware is a critical component of that. The absolute best experience somebody has on Xbox is hardware that your team builds and that people play on. But that's not going to be everybody. We fully accepted that we're going to have Xbox players across all kinds of devices.
So I think a lot of people think about 2023 as this incredible year for gaming. And in a lot of ways it was. There was some really amazing releases that I think we all enjoyed.
There were some big downturns.
But what were the signals behind the scenes that maybe indicated how we wanted to look at the future of Xbox and how we kind of keep up with the industry?
Yeah, such a good question. And I think it's, as people who care about the industry, which I assume is people who are watching this, it was an amazing year. Some great launches, some of the games that I think will stand the test of time and people will be talking about a decade from now. But it's an industry that didn't really grow. And what happens when an industry doesn't grow? You end up with some job eliminations, which we had. We had even our own hard decisions to make about building a sustainable business for ourselves, but in no way were we alone in that. When you think about a healthy industry, I want players who believe that they will find the best games on the platforms that they love. I want people who invest their careers in working here to feel like this is a place that they can be successful. And that really is down to being part of an industry that is growing. If you listen to Lisa Su, the AMD CEO, she'll say that AMD-powered consoles are likely to decline in 2024. I think there's an amazing set of games coming in 2024, but if we don't get to growing as an industry, the industry will struggle. And today there's...
And this is a really, really, really fascinating point. But to echo this for the wider world, it's not just the games industry that, I mean, there must have been growth somewhere. But it isn't just the games industry. I live in the UK. We've just gone into a technical recession because the economy hasn't grown over the last 12 months or however long. I didn't really listen. I tried to avoid the news. Job losses are not just isolated in Xbox, as Phil said. They're in the wider games industry, but they're also in other sectors as well. The world is in a bit of a sticky situation right now, and the people in power need to look at how things are operating, how things are being run, and do something about it. I'm not smart enough to figure it out. I don't know if anybody really is. But it's fascinating to actually get the head of the studio, or the three heads of the studio, basically, to come in and actually be this open. I like this. I didn't know what to expect from this, but actually I appreciate the honesty as someone who's been with Xbox for a while, but who also is, while I'm invested in it, if Xbox went away, I would game on PC and a PlayStation. if there was no Xbox. I'd be sad about it because a lot of the games franchises that I love would probably disappear. But I grew up with a Sega Mega Drive, and Sega don't make consoles anymore. You know, it's just how the industry moves. That isn't happening. They're not stopping hardware, just to confirm. They've already said that numerous times, but just to confirm. But I like how open and honest they're being here. And they're not telling us everything. Of course they're not. But this is good.
There's really two choices on how do you grow the industry. Do you say I have a fixed number of players, the players that we have today, and do I find new ways to monetize those players to get more money from the players that I have? Or do you think about how do I expand the business I have by finding new players and adding those to the base of players that already play? Our focus on Xbox for the last decade has really been on that latter point.
Yeah,
of how do we make sure Xbox is growing for our players, growing for our creators, so those people are finding success on our platform, which will grow the Xbox business and put Xbox in a position to be very strong for years and decades to come.
Matt, earlier you were talking about these growing gaming communities, how they're incredibly large and
it just makes
comparable on such a different level when we think about console audiences. Like you mentioned Roblox, you mentioned Fortnite. So how are we're obviously thinking about our responsibility, our hardware responsibility is supporting the growth of gaming communities. How has that actually shown up for the players? Are there other games we can speak to from our portfolio?
Well, as Phil mentioned, I mean, two of the biggest ones for us, Call of Duty and Minecraft, I mean, they are driven just from the bottom up by the communities of people that play those games, which is so great. I think about it, for the player community, it comes down to where are the friends, where are the people you play with, and then equally important is where have you built up your library of games, right? Where have you invested? Where's that library? I think those two things probably are some of the biggest influences on where people choose to play and what devices they choose to play.
Yeah.
When we think about on the other side, the developer side, just any game developer wants their game to find the biggest audience possible. That's just the nature of building a game. You want people to enjoy and participate in what you've made. And I think we're in a unique position to deliver on that just because we are the platform. We build hardware, we've got a first-party games group, and then we've got a system that ties that together, that brings together your friends, your progression, your achievements, all of that. And I think that's really what has contributed to the momentum behind some of these communities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at, just step back and you look at the history of the industry, we've moved from a place where it used to be that someone built and launched a game to accelerate hardware to actually the things we do with our hardware and with our platform are all in service of making those games bigger. And we think about that across all.
I never really thought about it for Xbox, but I guess it would be true as well. But certainly a lot of the PlayStation, going back over time, a lot of the PlayStation games were to push the hardware. I think of games like Uncharted on the PS3. Was it? Yeah, it was PS3. Games like, I mean, it's all Naughty Dog, but The Last of Us. The Last of Us really pushed the PS3 in the last 6-8 months of its life cycle. And then as soon as the PS4 came out, I was like, right, we're going to remaster it and we're going to show you what it looks like on the new console. And then they remaster it again and again and again and whatever. But Sony, and it's never really stood out to me for Xbox. Maybe like games like Forza, Motorsport, certainly. Horizon, Halo to a point early on in the console life cycle back in the early 2000s. Halo 2 obviously pushed boundaries of gaming, not just on Xbox, but worldwide and industry-wide. But we have definitely moved beyond the point where a game is made to push hardware. The Xbox Series X hasn't hit its full potential yet in 3 years. I don't think. We're still struggling to get, at some places, 30 FPS. Certainly not 60 on most games. And that was a promise. They can't deliver it. They're struggling. That's not a failure in the hardware. That's I don't think. I think it's a failure in integrating the hardware with what they're doing, and the whole thing just isn't delivering that kind of aspect at a level that was originally advertised at 4K 60. But it's not that the hardware probably isn't capable of it. It's that games aren't being built in a way to fully maximize that one system because they're being built for all systems. You're never going to hit 4K on a Switch. I know the Switch is developed as 2 separate entities. So you've got the Switch version and then you've got everything else. Look at Mortal Kombat, the differences in that. The Mortal Kombat 1. But the industry has changed so much from where we make games to sell consoles to we make consoles. Certainly from Xbox's point of view, we make consoles to sell games. The industry is at a pivotal point when you think about it, and I've never really had it distilled into something like this before, but as an outsider looking in, things do need to change.
All of the investments we make, the consoles we build, the investments we do with things like cross-play, cross-progression, the things that we're doing with cloud, how do we actually give more options to game creators so they can have the greatest success? I think one of the fun recent examples about this is actually Power World.
Series X.
Power World was able to launch. They were a game preview. They launched in Game Pass. They also simultaneously launched in Steam. And through the combination of those things, Pocket Pair was able to have this outsized success. And it was the largest third-party Game Pass launch ever. And that's all because we give creators options on how they can launch their games. We've got subscription, we've got retail, we've got free-to-play, we've got game preview. We have the consoles, we have our experience on PC, and they can access all of those things. And when we step back and we just look at the performance of our platform all up, we know it's working. We're at the highest level of users on console, the highest level of users on PC, the highest level of users on cloud.
Probably need to point in that they're also including anyone on Xbox One. But interesting.
Ever. We have double-digit growth rate on PC and cloud, places where we're enabling creators to actually reach new players beyond the console ecosystem. And that's why we're leaning into it and doing more, because we see all those signals.
So we're talking about the role that hardware plays for creators, for the games and those communities. What about the role that hardware plays for us as a business, for Xbox?
When we look at our hardware, it really is, and Phil said this earlier, it's where you get like the most flagship seminal experience of Xbox. And it also represents a developer target. Our developers can build the specs of our hardware, and we invest to make sure they know when they do that, that the games are going to run great on our hardware, but they're also going to be able to be accessed across any screen because of all the other investments we make. So we're giving them an easy way to access as many players as possible. And we actually have more creators.
We should be playing shot bingo with the terminologies that they're rolling out with all this stuff.
Right now building for Xbox than ever before by nature, thousands of them by nature of those investments. And we got more to come. There's some exciting stuff coming out in hardware that we're going to share this holiday. And we're also invested.
Exciting stuff in hardware that we're going to share this holiday. I don't think console refresh is exciting.
By nature of those investments. And we got more to come. There's some exciting stuff coming out in hardware that we're going to share this holiday. And we're also invested in the next generation roadmap. And what we're really...
Confirming next gen makes sense. Next gen doesn't need to come anytime soon, in my view. Are they talking about an Xbox handheld to bring all the cloud and all that stuff and distill it into an actual Xbox branded hardware device the size of a phone? Is that what they're teasing?
Building for Xbox than ever before by nature, thousands of them by nature of those investments. And we got more to come.
This is very telling.
Stuff coming out in hardware that we're going to share this holiday.
They're teasing things.
We're also invested in the next generation roadmap. And what we're really focused on...
I suppose the rumors have been so hard and so wild that Xbox are pulling out of hardware. They have to say, no, there's more hardware coming. But it's nice that there's something coming this year that they're going to tease in the holiday. So is that going to be probably at the Game Awards? But also, they are looking at next gen. They're starting to look at next gen. We know that Sony's looking at next gen as well. So yeah, interesting.
There is delivering the largest technical leap you will have ever seen in a hardware generation, which makes it better for players and better for creators. And
I keep pausing this.
And what we're really focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap you will have ever seen in a hardware generation.
Run that by me again.
We're also invested in the next generation roadmap. And what we're really focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap you will have ever seen in a hardware generation.
I mean, that's a big statement. The largest technical leap ever delivered in a generation. What does that even mean?
Which makes it better for players and better for creators and the visions that they're building.
And then when we're talking about hardware too, there's these other considerations that
They're
are really
giving
important
away
to
a
our
lot on
community,
this.
probably to each one of ourselves as well.
They had to,
When you talk about library, because I want to dig in on that a little bit more. You know, as we talk about cloud in the wider entertainment industry, there's conversations about streaming. How is that impacting how I own my content that I've invested in? So what can we say about our stance around game preservation?
Yeah, you know, one of the highlights for me of being in this position was getting to stand on stage when we announced the back compat coming to Xbox One. Like, it was fantastic. People were reading the title block before I could read it. I'm a slow reader, and just feeling the energy in the auditorium as we were saying that and online. You know, one of the cues I think us as being part of Microsoft take is looking at Windows and how Windows over decades has maintained software compatibility with things that are built on it. Like, I can still go back and play some of the games that I love playing on Windows from decades ago, and it will still run. And we try to bring that same view to consoles. It's harder in console because the line between what the hardware is and what the game is in consoles is traditionally, it's tighter, which makes compatibility, you end up doing these generational compatibilities that we've built. But I will say compatibility, the ability to not only play the games, but my saves are still there with our cloud save systems to try to keep the services up as long as we can so that people can play, is a tenet of what we are as Xbox. It's at our foundation. And when we look at future hardware generations and what we're gonna support, making sure that we respect, which is the word I use, respect the investments that people have made in Xbox going forward is fundamental. And the fact that you get entitlements when you buy a game from us on both Windows and Xbox also means you have the ability to play that game across a multitude of devices, which I think furthers the compatibility of the games that you own.
Can we go back to what Xbox stands for today? I think we've pretty much covered all of the elements, but if you could break it down for me.
You know, when you play on Xbox, what we're saying is you're playing on a platform where you know the biggest games in the world are always going to be. You're playing on a platform where you get to access Game Pass. And all of the games from our incredible range of studios will always launch in Game Pass day one. And you're playing on a platform that's dedicated to you, like player-first features, cross-play, cross-save, cross-progression, backwards compatibility, being able to play your games in your library anywhere you want because of the investments that we make in cloud gaming. And so you're playing somewhere where you're investing and you know you get to take the games forward with you and across all of the screens. They're doubling down on a lot of stuff here. And I think most importantly, Xbox is a place where you know when you're investing in Xbox, you're investing somewhere that is dedicated to making games more successful and creators more successful so that they can invest more to bring even better experiences to you all of the time.
Yeah, just that investment in the studios is so, and we feel that as part of first party with the platform proximity. You know, it's kind of amazing now to look out across all the studios that we've got and just be reminded that we're now one of the biggest development organizations in the industry. What does that mean for players? It means
a fundamental
that the biggest
shift in
games
their
are
business
going to
now.
continue to come to Xbox. And this 2024, the year coming up, we've got more than 10 major releases coming up. Great stuff. I
was going to talk about it a little bit. More than 10 major releases coming. The last couple of years have been dry, so maybe it's finally coming to fruition.
We've got more than 10 major releases coming up. Great stuff. Hellblade 2.
Can't wait.
Diablo expansion. We've got Avowed, Ara, the Indiana Jones game. And there's more in development, which I think we're going to be able to share more about at our June showcase coming up pretty soon.
Well, I guess I should get ready to work on that show. Well, thank you all for showing up on the podcast today, and we'll see the rest of you this June.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tina.
Thank you.
Right. My initial takeaways: 4 games going third party. One of them is certainly Hi-Fi Rush, because I think there's game files in there that that hint to third-party. So Hi-Fi Rush, sure. Hi-Fi, I haven't played it myself, but the praise that Hi-Fi Rush got, it needs more love. So I'd love to see that do something like that. The games that are going third-party are more than a year old. So there seems to be at least some sort of year exclusivity on Xbox. Game Pass isn't going anywhere, and it is staying on Xbox and PC. Obviously, it's all. I think Xbox now is console and PC. So that's a pretty big confirmation. They generally just double down on what they're doing. There is a subtle shift in the. It sounds like delivery system and what they're wanting to do, because they are now a publisher first. But they're not shying away from hardware. Teasing something new coming, or something new to be announced, not maybe coming in Holiday. Holiday is like December time, isn't it? So it's probably Game Awards. But teasing something then, so either back end of this year or 2025, there's going to be a new Xbox hardware thing, and also teeing up next gen to be a substantial leap forward in console gaming. I have no idea what that means. I'd be very interested to see. I don't think we're going to get anything anytime soon. But they were very open about the state of the industry. They were very open about certain elements that they probably want to promote, like the numbers of Game Pass and things. They did touch on the layoffs, which I was surprised. And, layoffs are always bad. You don't want to hear of masses of people, well, anyone, but any number of people losing their jobs. But I think with Xbox and the acquisitions that they've made, it was always going to happen, because when a publisher and a publisher combine, there's duplications. Right? Just how businesses work when they are acquired. It's the acquisition process. There's always job losses or layoffs. It's a nice way of putting it. You look at maybe the wider state of gaming, and that might not ring true for a lot of things. I don't know. But there's been a major shift in how people play games, how people want to experience games in the last 5 years. The cloud is a big thing now. Trying to get on mobile, there's a massive race for mobile gaming and expanding the mobile thing. That's why they bought Activision Blizzard, because it comes with King. It's going to be massive for Xbox down the line. Not necessarily something you'd see on a console or on a PC, but in the mobile space, that's huge. And that's printing the money probably straight away. Call of Duty, occurring in the future. The Activision back catalogue slowly starting to be, maybe Blizzard as well. Well, Diablo is Blizzard, isn't it? But all of that stuff being drip-fed onto Game Pass is starting to come through. They did say when the acquisition went through that nothing would happen straight away, and that they were working it all out. But getting Diablo 4 on is a pretty big step towards that, and it's coming very soon. So that's cool. Overall, I like the transparency in this. Yes, it was PR. Yes, there was the PR and the industry buzzwords thrown in there, and they were trying to show the strong Xbox brand, and that really what they're doing is trying to reach new players. And absolutely, they've been saying that for 10 years. You wouldn't buy Minecraft, you wouldn't buy Activision Blizzard, you wouldn't buy Bethesda if you weren't wanting to use those titles and the pre-established communities on other platforms to grow your brand. I still personally think Elder Scrolls 6 will be a third-party game. They did confirm at this moment in time Starfield and Indiana Jones are not third-party. Who knows what will happen a year down the line? It really doesn't matter. They've doubled down on Game Pass is an Xbox platform exclusive, the subscription, and any Microsoft developed, published, whatever game, first party or third party otherwise, is going to be on Game Pass day one. They're doubling down on the same message they've been telling us. Honestly, this was very open. It was very honest. I don't think there's actually anything new in here outside of giving Diablo 4 a date to come to Game Pass and saying that 4 games were going non-exclusive and they were all over a year old. But I like this. I actually hope. I love their little developer directs. I love their showcases in June, like the non-E3 stuff. I like this. I would like to see more of this. I would like to see them starting to be a bit more transparent. And they're already moderately open with their community anyway, but I like stuff like this and actually seeing... Can we get a... Oh, we can't. Yeah, we can. That's better, instead of just looking at nothing. I like stuff like this, and I think publishers and the bigger companies that, you know, as gamers we buy into. Sony are opening up a little bit as well, I think. Nintendo are very closed, but Nintendo is such a closed ecosystem with so many fans, they don't really need to change. I don't think. I think they know what they're doing, and they've been doing it very well for the last, what, 40 years? 50 years? In the console space? 40 years, probably. So, yeah, Nintendo are a complete separate entity. But Xbox are becoming more open. I think PlayStation are becoming a little bit more open as well. And on the whole, I think this is actually good for gamers. You play where you want to play, you play what you want to play. I'm not telling you to pick a side because it's stupid. The console war is dead. Nobody cares anymore. Play what you want to play where you want to play it. On whatever you want to play it, and invest into whatever you want to play. Right? But this isn't groundbreaking, this isn't shocking, there's nothing new here. They're just fleshing out some of the tenets, I suppose the term would be, for their ongoing game plan that has really been the same over the last 10 years. They're just maybe at a point where they're at, this is phase 3. Because Game Pass has grown so much, because they've acquired so much. They're now shifting a little bit, and they're taking stock, and then this is the next step. Xbox isn't going anywhere. Their games aren't really going anywhere outside of 4, I repeat, 4 timed exclusives, we should probably call them. And they are right, exclusives are becoming a less and less and less a thing. Arguably the biggest game last year was Baldur's Gate 3. Biggest game this year, so far, is Helldivers. Which is... It's a PlayStation console exclusive, but it's also available on PC. Palworld's pretty big. Palworld is, by default, an Xbox console exclusive, but it's also on PC. And it's only an Xbox console exclusive because PlayStation don't have early access games in their ecosystem. It's not like Palworld isn't going to go to PlayStation at some point when it fully releases. And it'll gain another however many players. And the hype will grow again. I don't actually see this as a big change. I think this has been excellent. It's been lovely to see. It's been very insightful. I like that they have had to come out and address certain things. I like that they have confirmed there is another generation coming that they're working on. They're not dropping hardware. That my biggest concern was hardware is going to become a little streaming box and you'll use the cloud. I don't want that. I want a console that is as big as it is. I don't care size, but I want a console with a disk drive and all the features and all the quality, the high definitions, 4K, 8K. I don't really care about 8K to be fair, but 4K is all you need. 60 frames, 120 frames. Let's really push the console hardware to a point that can compete with PC. Not that it will for long, because the PC is constantly changing. But the way that the PC graphic card sort of business is, they're just constantly pushing out new graphics cards that I don't think are actually bringing anything new. They're just iterating for iterating's sake because it makes them money and people will buy it. And you spend your money that way, that's fine. But this console generation, we haven't had the best out of a Series X. We haven't had the best out of a PS5. I understand why Sony would want to do a PS5 Pro, because hardware-wise, on paper, the PS5 is less powerful than a Series X. But I actually think the PS5 delivers their games better because of how they work internally, in the engines that they have and how they've developed the console in-house. They can hit the higher points that Xbox can't. But Xbox haven't had a good couple of years. They've really struggled. And it seems like now, in 2024, we're actually starting to see things coming. And this was just an update to say, look, Xbox is still here, we're growing the brand, we're expanding the brand, stick with us because we want you on this ride. But they're not changing their business model. They're just expanding. Which makes perfect sense to me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.